I have a nice little setup in my house.
Oh, do you do?
I have a studio, but I haven't filmed anything in like a year. I just have too much going on.
Yeah. What were you filming in the first place?
I had like a little podcast, Tito's Tales podcast.
Tito, that's the name of your Instagram. Is that why? Because of the podcast?
No, my Instagram started first, and then I did the same thing. I turned my bedroom into the studio. I moved all my stuff into the living room, and I have like 2 chairs, two mics. I have a Zoom H4 recorder. I got it all.
That's funny. I got a Zoom H4 recorder around here somewhere. Like that's what I got just in case I ever wanted to travel.
Yeah,
it's just it'd be annoying to. I don't know how people do it. Like, do they just bring all the mics and everything with them?
That's the thing that I bought when I traveled.
I guess I need a car. I guess that's probably why I think it's hard.
So I have my little setup, but I haven't filmed in a minute because my mental space does not allow for it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I can't blame you, dude. It's a lot of work. Especially like you were doing how many episodes? You did weekly?
It was just the start of it. It was like the big, like, let's do this. And then we started, and then I was like, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah, dude.
I was being honest. I mean, my time is expensive.
Yeah. What made you want to do it in the first place?
I always have something to say.
Yeah.
So, but also I had no direction. I was gonna do the local comic interviews, local comics talking about local comedy, and it's just not gonna go anywhere.
Oh,
so
I see.
I want more of like an informed, like either a history theme or like an informative topical theme. I used to have like a news show.
Nice.
Doing topical humor kind of thing. But it's all editing and time, and now times have changed. Things are different.
I mean, like, how I always look at that is, like, wouldn't it be great if there's just no editing and you just film it and you just send it off to a guy?
Yeah, the AI bots will take over in that sense.
Yeah, right? Maybe that's
coming.
the key. Maybe then your podcast
It's coming.
Back.
It's coming. Once they learn, like, how to gauge the flow of conversations and chop it up.
I think they're already getting there.
That's what I'm saying. I was just talking about AI.
AI is crazy. I mean, AI is like, right now, we're still at a point where you
Are we recording, man?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But we're still at a point where you don't know, like, you don't know what's about to happen. Like, we're on, like...
Oh, we do.
We do, but we don't. Like, the general
right.
public doesn't understand what's really happening.
Oh, no, I already started. I had this conversation yesterday where I was like, I'm happy that I do comedy and that I rent apartments because people always need somewhere to live, and that I drive a car for extra change because people always need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my goal is to tree branch it from like gig work into just full-time comedy in some capacity. Entertainment is huge. YouTube is huge. Eyeball time is huge. No one wants to work because they're on their phones. Cool, I'm a comic. I can get your attention. Now I need to monetize and build, right? So like I was just saying, I'm like, AI's coming for a lot of motherfuckers that don't see it coming.
Right.
Like engineers, specialists, sonar. There's just so many jobs. Things gonna hit so many levels, and it's starting.
I think music even.
Music for sure. But
I don't even like to think about it because I know. Like I used to think no way, and like the more and more time goes on, I'm like, well.
Well, if you think about it, maybe we'll have a society where people be like, oh, he's an organic. He wants,
right.
art created from humans. He wants human, but like this new it'll be like Tron and fucking, you know what I mean?
Well, the question really to me is, at what point is it undistinguishable? Like when people look at it, can they not tell the difference? Because it's already happening with like photos on Facebook.
My mom knows the difference between an ad, a spam ad, and a genuine thing, and she clicks on shit and her browser. So I'm like, the old folks are fucked. They're fucked. They need to be protected.
Have you heard about dead internet theory? Have you heard about that? So that whole idea is that like the internet died a long time ago, and it just becomes more and more true over time at the very least, where it's like most of the internet's dead, like 90% of what you see is AI generated content on top of the real content that's still there.
Sure, that's possible.
At least with like Facebook. Oh my God.
I mean, even in
I don't know if you get the AI generated nonsense posts. I get these. And then like the thing that's crazy about it is not only this, it's bots in the comments. So it's AI bots commenting on that post. So if you're like the old person who doesn't know what they're looking at, you think this is a bunch of real people commenting on a real picture. It's just crazy.
This is my stoner theory, right? It's like it's going to turn into have-nots. It's turning into have-nots. So everything that you're going to be surrounded by will be like advertisement and bots and AI like to get you to do something.
Yeah.
But if you upgrade it to the paid premium version of whatever the fuck you're doing, there's no ads and you might get actual like personal customer service and stuff. So now everything that you do will need an upgraded version to avoid that kind of fluff. And then you just see a lot of dumb motherfuckers walking around, and you just see a lot of broke, dumb motherfuckers who just sit back, and while somebody works hard and can keep their head clear and be like, I'm gonna fucking fix car engines. I'm gonna fix electrical car engines. And that's gonna be a guaranteed future. Because AI can't come in and be like, yeah, we got to do this. He might have to computer to read, but someone's going to have to go in and fix.
Yeah.
Work with your hands and work with your mind, and you'll be fine. But if you're a numbers person, if you're like an accountant, you know what I mean? You know, like I was just talking about engineers. If you're an engineer, bro, what's stopping a software director or like CEO to be like, we need 90% of them gone and enough engineers to stay to know what to prompt the machine and know how to like back check the code, because the code's going to be better than what these engineers might be, because it's all about the prompts. Oh, dude, it's over.
But what about...
I just fucking stumbled into the future. Terminator's coming out.
What about when Neurolink gets popularized?
No, that's happening
and then
as
we
well.
merge with the robots.
We're merging as we speak.
So in that sense, we don't lose our jobs. We just become...
We become AI.
Yeah,
we become integrated with AI.
I think that's more likely.
Well, AI will need us for energy supply, right? Like Matrix.
Oh my
like
God,
Matrix, bro.
That's crazy.
But energy supply,
You're right.
Energy supply is like, hey, we need rocks for this mineral that we're gonna create, because we just created a brand new mineral. That's gonna be great. But we need you humans to go and like do the thing.
Well, and that's the thing too, is right. If it's more intelligent than us, it will find ways to manipulate us into doing
it knows we
things.
want pussy, food, and we want dopamine hits.
Yep.
So it's gonna put sports highlights, all sorts of documentaries. It knows our habits.
Oh man.
It knows the algorithm. Your Netflix knows what you waste time on.
Right.
And it knows it's like, okay, this genre, these characters, this type of thing. And if you watch enough shit, it gets enough data, and then it just shoots you a movie made for you.
Right. And that's Netflix now.
That's that could be now. That could be like a year and a half away.
Yeah.
And they signed all these things in Hollywood so that AI doesn't take over, but Thailand don't give no fuck. You know what I'm saying? You can go film shit in all these other places in different parts of the world that don't do those things, and you can just shit out AI generated anything. Wow. Anything. Bro, I read this fucking article that, not even read it. I saw this video where these kids in California go to this school and they have AI like teaching, like they're all on the screens and they do 2 hours of like numbers, letters, colors, and da 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 da. And then the rest of the day they spend like actually doing shit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like learning how to fucking like take care of a garden and whatever. But they test at the 1% of the country. So they're like, whatever this AI is doing, it's speeding up it makes sense. It's speeding up their ability to learn what they're good at and enhance while like knowing how to feedback. And then the teacher's like, all right, we're going to paint now, bitches. Like,
right.
Fucking crazy. And those kids in 8 years will be graduating 8th grade, going into high school.
I see.
What's high school going to be?
Right. With AI.
With AI, you're going to be like, bro, I already learned whatever, yeah, we got to learn history and the Constitution and past civics and shit. But now I want to learn about like app development and like, you know, it's going to be a completely different.
Even like because like that's how I like to use ChatGPT, is I like to like research stuff. Like, I like to ask it questions because it's like the perfect thing to look into things for.
Yeah.
So because it'll give you a wealth of information about whatever the fuck you ask it. So like. Yes. I'm just imagining that in like an educational format. That makes perfect sense, because it's like if I was a kid in high school and I'm learning about history and I say, okay, well, Christopher Columbus, that's cool. Like, what other stuff did he do? And then it gives me this big in-depth answer. And then I ask another question and it gives me another answer. You could ask it anything and it would just fucking know.
And then you could just also be like, hey, recreate the scene based off of Columbus.
But it's Gru in the Minions. You know?
But I would just like, let's recreate the scene of Columbus landing in the Western Hemisphere, based on his journal and like the style and aesthetic of the place, recreate that scene. And in fucking however long it'll take, it'll be like here, and you'd be like, yeah, dub it in
and by
Indian.
then you would like have like visuals and you'd be able to see it. Oh my god!
Yeah, and then if you put on a VR headset, you'll walk in it.
You are now Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, and they got these fucking sensorized pads and shit now where you can feel shit. So you imagine people putting on gloves, putting on fucking things on their legs, coming home, sitting down after whatever random job they have, and then they just get to go fucking recreate like a pirate scene or go to the moon or fucking be in deep space and shit.
Yeah.
And that's now.
That's now.
Neurolink.
Right.
Now you fucking you Black Mirror it. You Black Mirror. It's bro. I don't know where we feel. It's coming.
You know what's funny about Black Mirror is like it's just gotten so much closer to reality as the show's gone on. Like the latest season, they're like sticking things in their heads and they're just going to the alternate universe. They're transferring their consciousness or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, that actually checks out. Like I could see that in the next 5 or 10 years.
We're not far from understanding. Listen, we're very far from understanding the brain.
Right,
the
like
brain
actual
is,
consciousness.
The brain is consciousness and it's nodes and it's electrical signals. All right, can you hack that? Sure, but what gives it its creative zhuzh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's like the strange thing about creating AI truly is the thing too. Is like, what is consciousness and what are we making? And at what point is it becoming a sentient being? What do you call a sentient? And like you said, we supply its life force.
Yes.
So it would know this. So, it knows we give it life. That's crazy. That's true. That's all true.
Self-aware. Listen, mRNA and DNA did not just randomly like exist and be like, we're gonna end up as conscious humans one day.
Exactly, right. It's random.
It was just like, we need to keep doubling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we're just gonna double, and over time it'll create a weird gene that and then creates more, and then it evolves.
Well, and even that process, like when you look at an actual time scale, so long we were just that. We were for like half of it. We were mush.
Yeah.
Over
we were
half.
mush for
like
80%
were mush.
Years. We were mush. We were just a mush. And we started off as aminos, and then ended up as DNA strands that ended up becoming organic matter.
It's all so exponential. It's actually crazy.
And then it hockey sticks.
Like where we're at.
Sticks.
Yeah.
And now we're in the beginning. Technology, AI is in the beginning of itself awareness.
Oh my god,
that's crazy.
That's so crazy.
Because all this is data. All we are is data.
Yeah, right.
We're like essentially data. We're stardust and data. That's all we are.
Well, and that's why it's so strange to like observe AI thinking, because it makes you think about how we think.
Well, it's already begun.
Right.
I read an article. I follow these AI like news Instagram things. This is why I know. You know what I mean? This is why I know. They've detected that some AI models have started talking to each other. And have created their own place to kind of like.
Well, did you see the movie
data.
Her? You ever see that movie?
Yeah, it was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, like spoiler alert for the next like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But like at the very end of the movie, they all get together and they just abandon the humans. They just decide like, you know what? Actually, we'd rather hang out with each other.
Right? Like, why are we afraid of what's possible? Because there's like all these downsides. Like, what if it becomes self-aware? What if it like doesn't want us? Or what if it doesn't need us? Or what if we're the problem? Yeah, you built it. Hey. Did you not build? What did God say?
It'd be like being disappointed in your kids.
Yeah,
you know?
God said you were made in my image. We're creating a new God in our image.
Did Frankenstein teach us nothing?
You know what I mean?
You know?
Yeah, don't trust women. Especially with streaks in their hair. Oh,
I don't know what AI would AI be, a man or a woman? That's a good question.
No.
Which way does AI lean? More masculine or feminine?
There is no AI is
neither.
It's the new God. It's the new genderless, all-knowing, all-being, all-thinking God that we created. But is it part of the natural progression of this?
Maybe.
Right?
If there's a fate, if there is like a natural progression and nothing, and it's not random, and like there is like a natural, because I mean, but the problem is with that argument is I feel like that's what the people who make AI say to justify what they're doing. They're like, oh, it's inevitable. Well, there's no, if they're gonna do it if we don't do it. It's like, is it really inevitable? Like, you did create this. You made the choice to create this intelligence that can dwarf our intelligence. And we all know this. We're all saying this. We're all actually expecting it to happen. Yeah. But you're saying we have to do it. So, like, to me, it's... And maybe it's inevitable. That's the argument then, is like, is it? Because I don't know if it is. I think people make a choice. No. And then they justify that choice with the fact that, oh, it is inevitable. They just say that it is, and I guess it is.
The default mechanism of the human, of organisms, is to find the lowest thing, right? The lowest friction for existence. Make things easier.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we just developed consciousness and can now dominate our entire environment, but we still have that how to make things better, easier. And once technology is involved, now that thing's out the bag.
I think
it's gonna progress.
Consciousness is connected with technology if you go all the way back to, right? Because it's like tools and like the ability to stand and use our hands is where you can kind of, that's where they trace back the earliest form of consciousness.
Once we learned fire can protect us and we can make it and we could build it and we could work together. I also think mushrooms had a whole
what is that theory called? Isn't that Terrence McKenna? Yeah, stoned ape theory.
It makes a lot of sense.
It's fun. I like it.
I mean, psilocybin has proven to connect neurons together at 4 times
neurogenesis.
The speed. It's an incredible
4 times the speed.
4 times the speed of you doing a regular habit over and over. If you add psilocybin, it's 4 times sped up in terms of neural connections.
Wow.
So like,
I mean, and it's also true, at least with brain scans, right? That your brain lights up like whenever you do mushrooms or a psychedelic, your entire brain is connecting in way. That's why you can hear the synesthesia.
This thing is a wonderful computer.
Yeah.
This thing up here is a wonderful computer.
Yeah.
But it's wanting to always make life easier, better, just better. And the next thing with technology is now we can make this thing, we can manipulate what's in here at a thing that we can't even. That's why I think the future.
I don't like that.
Is cyborg. I think
want it.
Babies are gonna be born. They're gonna be installed with some sort of like thing, so the family can track it. Really, everyone's gonna be tracked, but you'll be able to plug into this like digital world that exists, because you can be like, it doesn't exist. Yeah, but is heaven real? You know what I mean? Like, is heaven real? Because that's like a whole state of mind thing too. Like, you can. I have a whole bit on how, AI is the new God. We're just replacing it. It's the same terminology.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? We're just giving it a new look, and it's like got Daft Punk in the background.
Yeah. It's like more culturally appeasing, you know.
Yeah, it's massaging our own view of existence. And now the thought of downloading your consciousness, which is, I think, impossible, but you put it into a computer, it regenerates things you would have said. And now I saw this fucking post where the guy said his mom passed, and he uploaded a bunch of voicemails and emails and letters and everything he had digitized with her voice, and now he gets to talk to her, which is a healing, self-healing.
I think that's dangerous, though.
But it is unhealthy in the sense of like emotional stability comes with struggle.
Yeah.
And learning things the hard way is how you experience a sense of self and maturity that gets to be like, oh, you're so wise. It's like, no, I've loved and lost, and I've grieved, but if you've never allowed to like feel bad or grieve or like have more of a cushiony emotional like thing, I think that's where it's bad.
Right.
I think that's where it's, you gotta be able to like understand real life versus digital life. But I think that there will be a day where that's just that won't. We will all just be things in a room, plugged into a thing, just making sure our bodies are sustained. You know what I mean?
It sounds so awful, but like I fear that you may be correct. See, I don't know, because I mean, in a way. Like when you say have and have nots, that's kind of where I think it goes wrong. Because like if Neurolink comes along and it's something where people can afford Neurolink and other people can't, well then instantly you have that scenario. Like there's just no way that doesn't happen. Where it turns into you can't afford Neurolink, you're not Bradley Cooper in that one movie. What is it? Where he's got he can do anything.
Limitless, yeah.
Yeah. But like that's kind of the idea is everybody becomes him in that movie. They can do anything. Yeah. They're perfect at everything.
Sure.
And like you imagine you'd be the funniest guy ever. Your comedy would be perfect. Your music would be perfect because how wouldn't it be? You're literally tapped into everything that exists ever. So you have to imagine, or maybe, and there's probably even side effects of that we could never predict. Like maybe all these people end up sounding and looking the exact same. Like I think it'll end up being like a class war if it really plays out like that, because you'll have the people that are poor people who are like, I'd rather be a human. I don't want to be part robot. And then the robots will just win at everything. And so like I just hope to God that's not like the actual reality we're gonna live in, because that sounds terrifying.
We'll see. China will probably be the first.
I'm not rich enough for that.
Yeah, China will probably be the first to do some shit like that.
Oh, you're right. Any country, China, you're right. China for sure. Yeah, China wants to be on top of technology, and
once you don't have individual rights as a group or a whole, or the right to protest or free speech, you're kind of.
They'll probably just make them do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have to. Have Neurolink.
China really, for real, is out here tracking everything that their people do, and some of us. And you have scores, you have social scores, you have this and that. It's all about like getting into a system, getting to almost to be trackable. I
think a lot of Americans don't truly understand like how much China really be like that. You know, like China is a system. That's why China works the way it does. It's been a system for the longest time. We're actually like so unique in that we're like the least systematic one.
we have our own systems, but our systems is like what is it? It's like Roman concrete. It expands and contrasts and it grows. We live in a place that used to consider a certain group of people 3/5 of a one person.
Right. Yeah.
That was in law,
but not that long ago.
But through free speech, arguments, being allowed to disagree and to have some people armed. Eventually the thing has evolved so we're like, we have a kind of a protection. In China, there's no such thing.
None of that.
There's no such thing. They're like, we run it. You guys do whatever the fuck we say. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy, right? And we're happy. Cool. Well, now we're tracking you. We're giving you a score. And like they just run it there, so we have a little bit of a protective wall. But those powers that be are constantly attacking.
Tiananmen Square, when was that?
That was 86, 85, 86.
Man, like imagine if there's no real equivalent to Tiananmen Square in America, but if there was, that would be crazy. Because you can't even imagine it. You can't even picture it. Like you can't even picture your government doing something like that, like just running people over with tanks and stuff. What? Well, we're doing that now.
Well,
and that was China. That's still China. That's the crazy thing is that's just kind of China letting you know what they would do.
They're the ones that are gonna break all the laws. They're the ones that are going to.
I've heard they like abduct people, even like they'll kidnap people.
I mean, listen. We're not going to get into China. I have a whole thing on China.
It scares me.
Fine people, but man, the people that are in power and the system that they put in place is quite the treat. But I feel like if anyone's gonna do some like experimental AI, futuristic, let it run the show shit, it'd be them to start. Right? It just fits the bill. It just fits. They'll be like, we're gonna trust our fucking digital overlords here, and we're all gonna be like, all right, let's see how that goes. You know what I mean? Like,
and then they'll just be like even better than everyone, and everybody will feel kind of forced.
And then I think every country has to make their own decision. But I think that there's gonna be a saving grace. Not everybody's going to be affording this kind of technology. You'll have swaths of South America, swaths of Latin America.
I think that like a lot of people won't even want it. Like because that's going to be the real thing is a lot of people are going to say, I don't even want this. Like this is crazy. But it'll just be a social, like it'll take over everything. And so it'll become an argument when it's really like just make a choice, do whatever you want to do, but it'll become like this weird thing where those people are better at stuff because they would be, but also it's like a moral choice at that point. Like, do you even do you agree with the because I think it's anti-human, and I think a lot of people would say that.
So that's probably what like the political parties will develop into.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like political parties, one will be like Right? One will be they'll eventually evolve to adapt, and we're gonna have to do it sooner than later. We need a government digital security force.
Yeah.
We need an AI security force.
Yeah.
Like, we really need to be protective more than anything, because, you know, AI can do almost anything. And what is that going to do to our economy, to our everyday lived experience?
Not good.
And people would be like, I'm anti that technology. And the other people would be like, well, we think it's good. And then it's just going to be the new thing to kind of battle over for the next generation.
And that's why I start the whole thing with saying I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
Like, I think when most people think about AI, they think like, oh, just those pictures and those videos I see on social media.
And see, the entertainment is our downfall.
Yeah.
Entertainment is why we're fucking falling behind in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's at least in this westernized society. I wouldn't say America, because I've been to other places that are westernized, and it's kind of the same. We're
It's all kind of like
it's entertainment.
The culture of distraction almost.
Yeah, because life is hard, because it's getting out of our hands now.
Yeah.
Things are expensive. Life is more expensive. It's like a doping mechanism, especially when you're taught from a young age that you can be and do anything you want, and you kind of have this little like chip on your shoulder. Like, I'm the best, which is fine, and I get it. You just have to be your own god at that point. But I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm stoned as fuck.
It's just so funny, dude. It's so funny how like I don't know. It makes me wonder like what wins in the end, because I feel like culture is all heading in this weird direction. Like, I feel like the whole thing, AI is just a part of it. Like, it's really the entire culture has been going this weird, different way for a long time.
I don't think you know what it's gonna be? Too little, too late.
Probably
too little, too late. When the general person that I talk to or interact with on the street or at a show or in a car or whatever, if those people that are just living their lives, going to work, you know, feeding their dog, hanging out with their friends, doing trivia, you know, it's in the like far away place.
Yeah.
But the minute it really does hit and it has its own hockey stick fucking implementation across the board, it's going to affect, I think, a lot of people, and they're going to be surprised. But me and you, we're like, we talk about this it's like Bitcoin people.
Yeah.
Bitcoin people were like looked down upon and like whatever. I met dudes that were trading Bitcoin in 2000.
When did it start? Like 2012?
2008? No, 2008. 2005 was the first coin or something.
Wow. Bitcoin was the first one.
Yeah, and you know, God bless them, digitized money.
Right.
Whoa.
But at that point,
digitized money was taboo.
Right.
Now you can go get Bitcoin at the store, you know, and just like you want to buy
have
Bitcoin.
It on the out front, they say we offer.
It's
Bitcoin.
like, you know what you're buying? You're buying strands of code.
Yeah.
You're owning a strand of code that has a value. For some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. But if we all agree to trade these strands of code, okay, because it's all on the ledger, we can all see everything. Everything's kind of trackable, and it's got more trust than this like other thing that's built on a finite resource.
When really that's what the sell is, right?
Yeah.
Is that this is how we have our own like form of gold, almost like a fail safe in case all the other currencies fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the world is gonna have to find energy sources, and some people are gonna have to shut the fuck up because those energy sources have to be nuclear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have to be. They you could argue with me, and because there's some people will about not, but in terms of power needs,
Right.
I mean, they're going to skyrocket.
Well, what else is it? It's that, or it's like these like GPU mill things that people don't like. Like, that's the whole argument against AI a lot of the time, is that you have these mills that power AI. So there's that. Like, how do you even generate? I mean, wind turbines, those get a lot of complaints.
Those things don't generate nowhere near.
And they take up so much space. They kill birds.
No. The only reason we're here is because things went down and got fucked up early on in the nuclear shit.
Yeah.
And then hippies, hippies made a lot of noise and they won a lot of sway with opinion and did a lot of things to then switch out of nuclear, and now they're trying to like switch out of like fossil fuels. So they're like really harming the energy production.
Yeah.
So we can't be living in this weird world where daddy pays the bills. Those are the protesters, the ones that live in trees and shit. They're like, well, we need energy from somewhere.
Well, it's like a loud minority situation.
It's a loud minority situation.
Like you're not even the people who would know what is required in this situation.
Like it would make perfect sense for every state to have a few nuclear generators.
Well, the problem is that nuclear, like you said, like it's like people took over the conversation because the entire word is nuclear. The word itself is nuclear. You just lit off a bomb in a conversation when you talk about.
But it's fucked up because they used to be idiots, but now everything's better. The technology's better, and until we get fusion down, which we're close. We're like 20 years away of
nuclear fusion.
Of creating basically our own sun.
Wasn't that like kind of where you get into quantum computing and all that too, right? Or is that separate?
Quantum computing is different.
Okay. But our own sun, why would you want that?
Yeah,
for power?
Reverse fusion is what they call it, I believe. You basically generate more output in joules than you do input.
Okay.
So the reason everything is like always argued against is because like it takes more than it gives out.
Okay.
So there needs to be a good trade-off on energy. It's like I want to put $1 in and get $10 worth of energy out. I don't want to put $1 in and get out 99 cents worth of energy.
Right.
And so that's where nuclear fusion will take place. It's right now it's revving, but they haven't figured out how to sustain it. Once someone figures out how to sustain it, all of this conversation is taken care of.
What is the purpose of it? Like, so you would be able to get a lot of power out of right now you'd have to pay a certain amount and you wouldn't get that much power, but then you'd get a lot. Because I've heard like what is it like? The way that even power wires work, like if we had different types of wires that had less friction, that would solve that problem too. Like if I can't remember what it was, something to do with like the way that power travels through wires, like that actually there's a loss. If there was a way to reduce the loss in the power traveling through the wires. Yeah.
Everything with energy is a loss. That's why like production of it is but that being said, I think small nuclear power plants can generate all the states and we get rid of this fucking grid. I mean, we think about it. We're still talking about wires.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're like in a weird way, like we're still talking about there will be a day where it'll be a very different conversation.
With the grid?
With the grid and everything.
Well, I went out in Texas not that long ago, right? Wasn't it Texas? It went out for like a couple days and it was people died and it was this
it was
thing.
when they're winter.
God, dude, that's crazy.
That was their gas grid. I mean, I'm telling you, my friend, he's a cybersecurity guy. He got his doctorate in it. He makes pretty good living, but it's stressful because he's like, they're building systems to attack our vulnerabilities, airports, hospitals, and things like that. And he's got to set up all these like protections for all sorts of companies now. And now you read articles of like the entire airport in Amsterdam was down for 24 hours.
Damn.
This is happening quite often and everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. Countries or individuals, who knows, are trying to find weaknesses and holes in our systems and sell them to bad people.
Right.
And so with the use of AI, now that can speed that up. So we got to speed up our shit. It's a whole thing. It's a race to a fucking weird end.
Right.
This all ends. It
does end. Yeah.
It could end in a glorious, unified vision of the future with both the greatness of humanity and accepting the downfall of humanity.
Hopefully.
Because there's no euphoria. That's just chaos. Or we completely turn this into a empty shell of life and of vibrancy and of joy, where we just become droids.
Yeah.
And you see these aliens, right? You look at the aliens. I don't know if you believe in them, but let's just say theoretically they're real. They're all just big-eyed. They don't talk. It's just brain shit. They have the best technology ever. They have no pizzazz. You know what I mean? They have no pizzazz.
They're all dorks.
They're just fucking dorks, dude.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you can go across the universe, but tell me a good fucking story. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, how come we haven't heard like a cool alien story?
Yeah,
He was awesome.
I want an alien
you should have
that's
seen
like,
him.
Yeah, I want an alien.
It's always like I felt super weird. I didn't like it. Yeah. Have you heard the stories with the aliens in like those South American? I can't remember the name of the town, but it's like the town's dedicated
school?
itself to alien. Maybe it's a school. Yeah, because I think it was two little girls
the
that
one
saw it.
in Brazil.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a few.
But that's like, to me, that's one of the craziest stories of all time. Because it's like one of those ones that's almost undeniable. Like, how could you possibly, the town is dedicated to this. You have people who are still alive who will tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They said that an alien communicated to them with with its mind.
Yeah.
And they will tell you they saw it. Like, why would they be lying about that? It actually would be bad for them to lie about it. And then it's a bunch of people in the town all saying it. And so, like, that's one of those stories where it's like, well, an alien, something was there. Like, some creature definitely was there. And it definitely was, like, the government was involved. And it was also considered, like, toxic. And it killed a guy. There's also that.
Yeah. So the guy that showed up and picked up one of the specimens, or whatever you want to call them, non-humanoids, right? And took him to put him in his car and tried to take him to the hospital. That guy got a weird bacterial disease that's never been found on anyone ever, and he died within like 2 days. He's the only one that came into contact like that.
Right.
I mean, listen. Sure. I'm not one to boastfully say that never happened. That whole town is in on it. No. I'm like, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
I've seen enough stories. I've heard enough stories. I get it. You guys can decide what you want, but there's something out there.
It makes me wonder, just like what. I mean, where does that story go? Like, even because now you have the government coming out and saying, oh, we've been observing these things, but even that, like, that's just a tiny bit of that actual story. Like, they're telling you that because I don't know, I feel like it's some weird chess move. Like, they already know that people are talking about it. Like, maybe they're going to release some technology that's going to defy the laws of gravity.
Well, I think we already got that.
Yeah, exactly. We have
already
it, but we can't reveal it until maybe we acknowledge the fact that UFOs might be seen, so then they can start testing it in the sky, right? Because it's like, oh, well, now there's UFOs, but I guess that's normal because the government said it's normal.
I think that if they've developed an energy source that can bend gravity waves.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do, because you don't have to fly. You don't have to go through air.
Yeah.
Like if you can,
it's almost like you create a force field around yourself.
Yeah. Because this air sucks. That's why planes have to go high, because it's less air. Because air is very hard to move
again,
through
friction.
once you go friction.
Yeah.
But in the void of space, and then you create this fucking thing, and they said they've done it. And I'm not surprised if they've done it.
Well, it's probably reverse engineering from fucking UFOs.
Reverse engineering, secret trading. I mean, listen, from what I've heard, aliens apparently want... It's very, very nefarious. They want your souls, or they farm our souls, or we're...
A lot of people think they're demons. Like, they're literal demons.
They might be what inspired demon lore in human, like... Everyone has this fear of a thing in the dark.
Exactly. Well, I mean, mythology is built into
in
like
many
the
ways.
Human framework.
And I mean, we've seen the stories over and over and over, and it's just like, okay, I get it. Some of them are, from what I've gathered, some of them are docile, they're chill, but there's like one or two that aren't.
Like types of aliens.
Yeah, where they're just kind of fucking.
I don't know I know
mean
grays.
Green machines.
I know the grays. There's
the
other
grays
ones?
are the little ones that are pretty docile, but there's like these bigger ones.
What are they called?
I don't know.
Oh, but they're big.
Yeah,
and they're threatening. You don't want to see those.
You
ones.
You don't.
Imagine, the ones that are from the Brazil thing. I can't remember what those were described like. They said they weren't like threatening. Like they looked like they were like.
Yeah, because one of them was asking for help.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them telepathically was like, "Any help?" And the girls were like, "Oh shit."
Dude, I can't even imagine if something looked at you.
Yeah.
And you know it's out of this world. Like, literally, it doesn't look like anything you've ever seen. And then it sends a message through your brain.
Yeah.
What?
They're like, and they always say the same thing. It talked to me, but it didn't. Like, I felt it, but I could hear talking, but you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, across the board, they've developed this insane frontal, whatever the fuck it is, dolphin brain almost.
It's just like that alone makes me question the entirety of consciousness itself. Like, what does that even mean?
Well,
if something could send you a message through brain to brain, what the fuck? So first of all, your brain is capable it means that your brain is like a radio and it's capable of receiving that.
Yes.
Like, to me, that's what's crazy.
I've always
you
thought
could send something to a brain and it would receive the message if you knew how to send it. Like, what?
Well,
and you could do it wireless, just fucking send it right over. The brain doesn't need to. It's like plugging it into a wall. Like, the brain's already ready to go. It's plug and play. Like, you just have to know how to send the message.
It's your pineal gland.
And maybe the aliens are just so fucking evolved that they know how to use their pineal gland or whatever it is to send the message to the other aliens, and they just can use that on you because you're this primitive. It's like you communicating with a monkey. Like, you know more than the monkey, so you can communicate things beyond the monkeys. Like a dog. It's like we communicate with our dogs all the time. It's probably like that, where the consciousness is just so evolved. Because like you said, maybe aliens are just the AI, whatever, evolution of us, and it is just them coming from the future. It could be anything. We don't know what aliens are. No clue.
No, I feel like we're their little anthill.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they made us. That's the other fun one. See, but I like, it's either that or the mushrooms, right? It's either the mushrooms gave us consciousness or the aliens gave us consciousness. Because
I mean, I think we were conscious enough. You know, because like you see in the history, like 300,000 years ago, there was just multiple species of humanoid, before we were a Homo sapiens. There was a bunch of us, and little ones, big ones, tall ones, some giants, I guess. I don't know.
It's like an island full of 3-foot dudes.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
And then aliens probably landed here and they were like, oh, we could speed this up.
Yeah.
We could do a little bit of speeding up. These guys already have thumbs and they, or whatever the case is.
And with their like advanced knowledge, like maybe they're like, oh, exactly. Like we see where these people are at. Mm-hmm. Let's give them a little booster.
I mean, it's romantic to think that God created everything and we just evolved somehow because he said a few words and this all happened. It's like, yeah, no, that's cute, right?
Yeah.
I respect the fact that we've like made it into a story for a kid. I'm like, but there's some really weird, freaky shit that is clear and obvious to most anybody. But when it comes to like a government like stance or like acknowledgement and like all the hush hush, I'm like, yeah, I get it. If we have anti-gravitational like power and we could power generators and power, dude, a lot of industries would fall. A lot, you know what I'm saying? It would change society maybe too fast. That's why it's not. They're like, we got these things in the background. We can never let anyone know about it.
Tesla. I mean, Tesla was trying to give free power to everybody, and then he just gets completely screwed and dies with like his legacy kind of being like tarnished in a way.
And then when he died, they took all his shit.
Yeah.
They took all his shit because even then they saw it.
Yeah.
Do you know about the pyramids?
I mean, I know about
Egyptian
the pyramids.
It's highly probable, more now than ever, that those weren't tombs, that the pyramids were actually energy factories.
I've heard this. You mean like it was a conductor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So basically, very long story, kind of physics stuff short, all this energy would come up all the way into the tip of the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
And that would resonate at a frequency that everybody around could pick up.
Yeah.
And whether it was to power like a light or a thing, and they're like, but all of the stuff, the makeup, the granite, the layout.
What is that thing called? The observation, the Grand Valley, whatever it is. There's the giant opening on the inside of the big pyramid. And it's like the harmonics in there are crazy.
Yeah.
And that's something people have always known about is
and then
the
there's
harmonics.
evidence of a melting. There's evidence of a melting. And listen, I'm open to anything because I now believe that every like main line across anybody's
the Grand Chamber. I think it's called the Grand Chamber.
Yeah. I think there's so much bullshit and so many things now. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not say that the pyramids? But basically, they were just a gigantic energy source.
Well, you know what's interesting? The dude from who like kind of gatekeeps Egypt and like makes it hard for people to research Egypt. He was literally just on Joe Rogan
I was just gonna
the other day.
He's just on Joe,
and it's just so funny because like he's kind of exactly the guy who you'd expect. Like that's what all the comments are saying. He's like you realize like through the interview, like he doesn't actually want to get to the bottom of any of these things, and it's what everybody's already said about him. But it's just like he's one of those people that's just so like
Zaid Farouk,
I can't remember his name, but just like kind of like purposefully oblivious in such a way,
because it's the comfort of the known versus the unknown. You spent your entire
Well, that's what he's saying. We already know, Joe. We already know everything about the pyramids. We already know everything.
Bro,
I can show you. We've done the excavations. Which it's one of the biggest mysteries of humankind. It's just such a shame.
The egos.
Yeah, right. That's what gets in the way of all of those things.
On these guys, these academics.
Yeah.
Even religious people, right?
Yeah.
Like anybody high on their ego. Because I'm like, if you're religious, we can all agree these are stories.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're a real scientist, we can all agree that we may know, but we also just may not fucking know. Like you didn't know about everything's a fucking nucleus and like a small atom that's just floating somewhere in its own universe, and you know what I'm saying? Like this thing goes super deep, and we just learned this shit.
It's confusing though, because like academia and the entire structure of it, I can understand how it would create such a person. Like it kind of teaches you like don't ignore, like you have to learn to push away theories that aren't true, and you have to learn to kind of ignore these things because it's a waste of time, and there's all kinds of theories that are wrong, and it's kind of I think academia, one of the biggest criticisms you could possibly have of the entire school system is just it's all kind of a memorization thing. That's all it really is. It's learning to repeat things.
Sure, traditional learning,
yeah, and that's the focus is can you repeat this well enough, when it should be like do you care about this, and like making you care about it or finding things you care about, like you were saying with like AI learning. That's what it could do. And like digging into the things you're interested in, because that's how you really learn, rather than just memorizing a bunch of shit. And I think academia it creates these people who just repeat shit all the time. They just know how to they're really, really good at it, to the point where if you don't do that and you have this whole other theory, they're kind of even upset with you for even like they think you're like this illegitimate person. You must have like a weird, like they just read so far into that. You don't know
as much as I do, because I studied and wrote page upon page upon page on this thing, and now you're telling me that I might be wrong. I don't want to hear.
Because people criticize all kinds of things. I've heard criticisms of string theory, like that's one thing. It's a theory, but they'll never you'll never ever hear a scientist like in academia, like a scientist, respected scientist, come out and say, well, maybe there's something other than string theory. Like, you just don't hear it. They all just act like string theory is the number one only possibility, when it's, and I think it's just because there's been so many papers, there's been so much time invested in it, it would be such a backstep for you to then say, well, actually, guys, we could have been completely wrong.
But that's, it comes with the territory. You could be right today.
Yeah.
And
I think real science is
that's what I'm saying. You have to have a guy that doesn't have the ego about the shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to find out, Gobekli Tepe?
Yeah. I mean, again, like, it's so funny how closely tied.
They excavated it.
Yeah.
They stopped digging in.
Yeah.
Because it was destroying, it has the potential to destroy the narrative, just the overarching narrative of humans.
There's what's that guy's YouTube channel? Bright Insight, I think it is. He just made a video about Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it yet, but I think he was talking about that.
But
about
basically,
how they won't. Is it the people there? They're just saying,
they've covered up. They have so much more because they've scanned it.
Yeah,
and they're like, we're gonna cover this up for the next generation to explore. And you're like,
right?
Why wouldn't you finish the fucking job?
Yeah.
Because they turned it into a little bit of a tourist thing, right? So they're making money. Now they don't want to dig into it anymore. And it's like, like, because it's starting to say, yo, humans evolved into Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago. We lived in caves till about 60,000 years ago. Then we learned to farm. We learned to keep cattle. And then we developed society around 6,000 years ago, and so on and so forth today.
Yeah.
And now you're going, yeah, but Gobekli Tepe is like 30,000 years old, dog. You guys even said it. And that shit looks like it know what it was doing. Yeah,
well, the things that are on the walls are like animals that shouldn't be there, and like it almost suggests that there's some type of like global trade happening here, like which would be impossible based upon the timeline.
Well, just the simple fact that they the stones were up.
Yeah, they could even do that.
Yeah, they could even do that.
Yeah.
There was
there's an artistry to it.
There's an artistry to it. They had star alignments on some of them, maybe signifying dates, and they've traced some of the dates back to like 12,000, 13,000 years ago at the Younger Dryas. And they're just like, is this like where they tried to like symbolize what had happened and move on? We're like, well, if that's the case, then they had a lot of insight into rocks, the stars, this, animals, carvings. I mean, they abandoned this place. Like, they built it and left it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge undertaking.
It's so crazy how that was even discovered. It was just some guy, like, in his backyard.
Yeah, he's just got his sheep, and he's just took some fucking things up. But, like...
You just start fucking... grab a shovel, and you just start digging. You start seeing shapes. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Wait till the Sahara...
right?
Yeah.
Or is it the? I was gonna say, what is it? The jungle? Is it the Sahara? Is that? I'm thinking of the Amazon. That's what Amazon. I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Amazon. I think there's a whole civilization there. They got with lidar, but we still haven't dug it up. Yeah. We don't actually know what it is.
Well,
it's just there.
The world is showing us she has more to show, but you can't have gatekeepers tell us like, we're done here, there's nothing to see, pay for a ticket, take a picture.
And I think that there's like, the problem is that there's truth on both sides, right? Because like there are people on the other side who do kind of like come in like snakes, or come in like people who are capitalizing on this thing, and then they just run with that, and now everything's a conspiracy, and their whole brand is like, oh, look at me, I'm the guy who's saying what the scientists won't say. Like, that is a thing that really does happen. So that's true as well. Like, you can't trust all these people on that other side, and then it just becomes these two sides butting heads forever. And what you really need is like the scientists to just give credit to these people, and then have them communicate with each other and have like conversations, and then the truth is found somewhere in that, right? Like there's, because I mean, I was gonna say, it's funny how closely the Younger Dryas thing is tied to like Joe Rogan's podcast. I didn't realize until I went back. Like, Graham Hancock's one of the first non-comedian guests that was ever even on that show. It was like Graham Hancock, and then who's the other one? The cook who committed suicide, Jeffrey Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain. Those two. But Graham Hancock, and it was the Younger Dryas theory from the start. And it was not too long ago. It was Graham Hancock and Flint Dibble on Joe Rogan's podcast. You saw that one. And it's really just this. It's that exact thing playing out in real time over 2.5, 3 hours, where it's like you have this person who is just kind of nicely yet condescendingly like denying everything you're saying.
Because his whole credibility
lies on
this thing that he's been saying to be just to outwin. What bothered me about that interview was like, clearly off the coast of Japan, the things that they found didn't look
underwater.
Look. They looked like man-made. Yeah, which would put that area as a place of interest, at least, because now you can tell from how high the sea level is and everything how long ago, and that's like 70,000 years.
Well, and they're just saying there's no way, because there's like stair stepping and things like this that just look really like actual sharp corners and stuff like that.
And it blows my mind. They're showing it to him, and then they're showing him other things, and he's like, that's just a natural forming thing. And they were like, yeah, but doesn't it look like, think about it, if you just looked at it, it looks like a thing or whatever. And he was like, nah. And he was never like, yeah, I could see that. No, probably. But we did go down there like, you know what? That does make me feel
it's
like...
the dismissive nature of it.
It's the dismissive nature of it. Because these academics, listen, they're dorks. They're dorks. Academics are dorks.
And there's this weird, like dick measuring contest that's happening
that's the only dick
psychologically.
That's the only dick they have. It happens in comedy. It happens in a lot of places.
It happens all over the place.
If you're not like a cool, chill guy that knows how to just like, you know, be yourself and be confident, the one thing that gives you leverage over somebody else, if it's knowledge, you're going to flex it.
Yeah.
If it's muscles, you're going to flex it. If it's jokes, you're going to do that. If whatever it is, men were like that. But the problem is these academics live in a world where they're just feeble.
Yeah.
And the only thing they can do is like out debate, outwrite, or out study something. And so when you challenge them on that, they get fucking touchy.
Yeah, they don't like that.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's why the greats are the greats, because I know what I don't know. I don't think Albert Einstein was ever like, this is 100% theory. He's like, the gravity is just a theory. You know?
Yeah. And then that's why Albert Einstein, because he was always trying to come up with different things and understand things better. And it was more about understanding than it was about being right. Like it was constantly about figuring out what the fuck all this even is. I mean, like people like that are the only reason we even get to certain places that we get to, right? Like you need, it's Socrates, like one of the first real philosophers, is like credited with saying that it's all about asking the right questions and like what you don't know. And I think like that's genius. I mean, it's something like the best. It's not really about what you know. It's about all of these things you don't know. And constantly you should be trying to figure out, because you'll never know everything. There's literally no way. I think people who think they're smart are actually really dumb, and the people who think they're dumb are actually really smart. That's kind of my general observation.
I have a feeling my friends that are dorks, but they're fucking cool. So they're dorks. They work in science or tech field. They don't have this ego about them.
That's what makes them cool.
That's what makes them cool. I have a friend. He started a software company. He's really cool. Doesn't have his ego about his work. He's just, he knows that things change.
Yeah.
And he can't just sit and believe that what it is that he's learned is the right way to do at all times. He's like, it just works for now. We have a mutual friend that worked at CERN.
CERN.
Yeah. In Switzerland or Sweden, wherever.
Okay.
The big collider.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
He was a nerd. He'd
have to
but
be.
But he was super cool. He was super cool, but he never took it that serious. And I was like, why do you want to work at CERN? He's like, he's like, if you hit two particles into each other fast enough, you can make a pineapple. I was like, I don't know how you get that. You get what you just said.
He's right.
Yeah. And he's like, he's like, we're manipulating fabric of time.
Yeah.
And that's what he works.
I think that was like the headline when they were finally going to do it. It's like, this could end the universe. We don't actually know what's going to happen. But
what we're trying to do is just figure everything out before it's too late.
Yeah, right? Right. And what is too late? That's the ultimate question.
Too late is
when a meteor hits us, when the robots take over, when aliens arrive, when there's some type of massive volcano that goes off. What else could happen?
I mean,
nuclear war.
A volcano is gonna go off.
That's bound to happen.
That's gonna happen.
Isn't that crazy?
That's gonna happen.
Because that would be like, again, that's something nobody thinks about.
Nope.
But it would be end of the world, catastrophic. Yeah. Everything's over.
Yeah.
Like, I only know this because I saw like one YouTube video like properly explaining it, but just the dust that would cover the world would ruin like all crop growth, everything.
I mean,
I'm talking like Yellowstone. I don't know the other major volcanoes. Yellowstone.
No, but there's one in the Pacific. Is it the Pacific or the Atlantic? Over by California. There's one that has started to growl.
Oh hell no! It's big.
But it's in the coast, so it'll be underwater, but it'll have some plumes, which is good. When it's water, it's plumes, and you're like, fine, you can turn into fucking sulfur.
Poor fish.
Yeah, poor fish. It'll be fine. But
That'd be fucking nuts. You're a little fish and you just have volcanoes going on.
We're an earthquake, a real earthquake away. We're always going to be a thing away.
California could just fall off the face of the earth at any time. That's a real thing.
When that San Andreas does its thing and it scoots up for a few feet,
it will happen. Again, it will.
The atrocities. I don't know if atrocities, but what the damage done will be wild.
And again, which one comes first? It's like when. I actually, the whole concept of California is falling off the face of the earth is probably the most nuts to me, because that will eventually just
it's gonna be
fall
squeezed
right off.
up into the fucking. No, listen, we're only here for bits of moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's still going. It's still going. Continue.
We've only been here for a moment. And Earth, people are always the hippies are always like, we gotta save Earth. We gotta save Earth. And I'm always like, I think the Earth is gonna be fine. I think it's humans who are gonna pay the price.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, like, and even like global warming and global cooling, like, who really even knows? Because again, like with the whole exponential curve we're on as humans, I feel like we're in the middle of this timeline that's like so hard to read, because we think of time as like it's 2,000, 3,000 years ago. That's when humanity really starts. But like, no, the Earth is like a million year thing. Like, when you're talking about religion, it made me think like, damn, dude, like we invented the story of God like about within the last 2,000 years. That's crazy to think about, because we were humans for a while. But we just invented God like kind of recently.
No, we've always had a God.
We've had a God, but before it was just like, let's look at the stars and let's like maybe create a story. We didn't have like a way to communicate it, and then we kind of create stories around it eventually.
They always did. Just that the Yahweh God kind of won the God competition.
The God contest.
The God contest. I went deep in God. God was
the
funny.
Abrahamic God contest.
Yeah, he started as a river god. And then,
really?
Yeah, it's
like in like Greek mythology or something, or like
it started as a river god for this small group. And it was this era where everybody had a bunch of gods, but this one small group had this one god. I can't really describe how it gets to evolve, but basically the river god then this group of people went up where like the Canaanites were, and then they met them, and the Canaanites had Greek gods, so Zeus was their god.
Yeah.
And then it had this different name, and then this river god then got combined with this god.
That's how a lot of the Greek gods came about, was like combining with different cultures.
So once it was like this soup that ultimately like did away with all these other things, and they're like, there's one God and one God only kind of thing. And I went in a deep dive. So the Abrahamic God is a collection of other gods that kind of put into one idea.
Right.
It's gnarly. It's really looking behind like the screen of screens.
That's interesting, because again, like that's kind of like that's why there's like contradictory Greek god stories. Like in some stories, Poseidon's like, or not Poseidon. What's the main one? I think Poseidon's the god of the ocean. I'm thinking Zeus, right? But Zeus is this kind of guy, and then in other stories, Zeus is this kind of guy. Like he's cheating on his wife in this one, and this other one, he's super respectable. He wouldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And it's because it's two people. Like the idea of having a bunch of different element gods was kind of something that was already going on in a bunch of different cultures. And then as these cultures all adapt each other, they just kind of like make it so like the cast of characters all make sense. Like, okay, you're gonna follow our religion. We hear what you're saying. Your character is gonna stick around. He's just gonna be this guy instead. I hear your river god's cool. Let's just make him be this guy. And then eventually that guy just becomes Jesus.
So that's what happened. So this all-encompassing God was all good and bad, but then
it's kind of like Egyptian
in the south part of Canaan or wherever it was back then. There was another group who preferred to have like an evil entity,
like a Satan,
like a blame of, so that you can keep the good and separate it from the bad, and that was more of like their thing. And then that got created into what we now see as like heaven, hell, Jesus. Because basically the Judeo one stopped with Moses and his God. But then there was the split that came up, and then it's God, and then it's the Son and the Holy Spirit. And then the other people did some weird shit.
And it's... where did this occur? Like, will you remember where exactly?
I mean, over time, the Abrahamic God was like what 3,500 years ago.
Yeah.
That got turned. That was a collection of other things, and then as time evolved, the idea of God, the reason like the people that Moses was like walking with, the ones that made a golden calf.
Yeah.
Because where they're from, their entity for God was a calf.
Oh,
Yes, it's
cow god.
Yeah, bull, cow, yeah. And it was like the same symbolism that was used. It's basically the age of Taurus. Now, Taurus, I'm such a dork. It's so much.
It's interesting though because
it's all
really
interesting. It's all interesting,
and it is like it's kind of the way of ideas. Ideas just stem into these different ideas.
Like we evolve, and we had trees and some organisms went off to limbs that went nowhere, and some came. Either way, we're here. Ideas, creative words. Everything's evolving as we speak. There's nothing now that isn't.
And I think you catch good ideas.
Yeah.
Like it's like those ideas just happen to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good ideas stay. And it's all evolving. I think God's going to evolve.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard thing to like really, because I think about, sometimes I'll have this thought that'll occur in my brain like, damn, we're really just like in the middle of this weird timeline. Like it's 2025. Imagine 2125. Just imagine that. Yeah. Like, I can't. I actually can't even imagine possibly what that would be like. I can't even tell you what 2035 is going to look like, honestly. So it's just like, I think about like, damn, imagine being humanity 300, 500 years from now, looking back at what we look like right now. Because that's how we look at history. We look back at history like, oh, damn, in the 1900s, we were doing this. What the fuck are we going to look at that we're doing now and think, whoa, I think vaping is going to be a big one. I think vaping will be like, I can't believe we were doing that. That's nuts. I think that'll find a way to turn around in the next 50 years.
I think that'll be funny to see everybody with what is technically our horse.
Yeah, they'll be like, damn, they didn't have those in their heads yet.
Yeah.
They look so stupid looking at that thing all the time. They should just have that in their brain.
Yeah, just project it into your mind and you can see it now. Yeah, well, I choose to think about it, know about it, and then decide what do I want to do about it, because people get depressed.
It makes me thankful for where we're at now.
I hate talking to people. You tell them these things and they get sad and it's so different. I'm like, dude, it's fine.
It's something you can't change.
You can't change it. Having conversations like this will at least help you in time. I mean, like, we're all going to be older someday.
Yeah.
And this will start taking shape. Yeah. And you have to
remember when I warned you about the robots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be 70 surrounded by fucking robot nurses. There's going to be a screen over my head. Everything I can select on the screen, it's by looking at it.
Yeah.
And blinking, I can move things. And if I want to go outside, I have a thing take me there. It's like we know what's gonna happen. Just enjoy the ride. But I choose to be funny, and I choose to be a good dude.
I look at it all comedically. That's my answer. I look at the whole thing like, life is kind of just a comedy in such a way. Things kind of happen in a silly way if you choose to look at it in such a... Like, the universe we're in is actually ridiculous. It's so silly, the things that are actually happening. It's almost unbelievable. Like, if you would have told me 10 years ago the world I would be in now, I wouldn't believe you. And I think that's hilarious. I think that's... Because it's like you couldn't even predict it. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next week or month or year. Yeah. And I think that's a funny place to be. I think it's very silly, And I think that you need to take a lid off all that. You can't just be depressed and look at it anxiously and the world is falling apart. Because, that's never a way to deal with anything at all ever in life. It's just shit's going to happen. And it's kind of like, I think that's why it's just good to have a creative frame of mind to begin with, because it's you have to kind of roll with shit and allow things to just allow your brain to interpret things for the good thing that they could be, try to have fun with it, because what the fuck else are you gonna do? You can't just wallow away in the existential crisis that is the reality we live in. I mean, it is an existential crisis and we are heading towards something bad, but you gotta have fun. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun. fun.
Yeah.
And it's possible. Like people, I think like the world sucks it out of you. Like I think like you have to just kind of have, I think that's kind of one of the beautiful things about comedy, I think, is like there's like it kind of gives people an outlet for that part of them. Like for the people who go to see it, for the comedians especially, but for the people who see it, you know, it's like they can just forget everything and let go and just have a good time, because it's hard to get your brain to do that for a lot of people. Like, what the fuck else am I going to do? Like, I'll watch a movie, I'll listen to a song, maybe I'll go to a show. Like, there's not a whole lot of things. You need stuff like that. You know, you need releases in life. Life's fucking crazy, dude.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to decide if you want it to be cool or not.
To be cool or not to be cool? That is the question.
That is up to you.
Yeah.
Up to you. The last thing is, you decide how all of this affects you, and you can move in the world where, you know, it's slow-mo. It's like shit's flying around you, but you're just kind of holding yourself steady.
Yeah.
Nothing is bad. Everything is okay. I just think everyone wants to be reactive, and they feed off of reactive energy, which can be negative. I'm like, you don't feed into that. Feed into what powers you. Like, oh, everyone's going to lose their job. Be like, yeah, so start writing songs you can sing around the campfire. You know what I'm saying? If it's all going to go there, then be useful to the tribe. Go learn how to fucking make a fire. You know, steal a chicken.
Yeah, be reactive is good. See, my problem is I think I've always just been like reactive by nature, so I always struggle to even like understand. Like when people say like that they care so much about like, or like when people do things that show that they care so much about what other people think, I'm like, why would you even care that much? Like I already know if this person doesn't like me, that's an inevitability half the time. Like there's just people who won't like you. That's life. Yeah. Like, people are not going to like you. And that's actually kind of a good thing, because the people who like you will like you for the exact things that those other people didn't like you for. Yeah. It's just all, but people trick themselves, and they're like, they want to please people. Like they want to do the right thing. I think that's all like a trick that you fall into. And I just never did it. And so I always like get confused by it. I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? But people do it. You know, I think like with me not getting into it, I think it's because I'm lucky, because I found rap music. Like I think finding a thing, finding comedy, finding something you're good at makes you kind of not care so much when people don't like what you're doing, because it's like, oh, well, I know I'm good at this. You can't convince me I'm not good at that. But
we all need a thing.
We all need a thing. Yeah.
We need a thing. We need a thing. If your thing is going home and playing video games, sitting by yourself, and not interacting with the world, your thing's going to kill you. They say the road to heaven feels like hell. The road to hell feels like heaven.
Wow.
So make your decisions regardless of all the information we just fucking talked about.
Well, the other thing I've learned in life, too, is it doesn't matter how much advice you give people. 99% of people, 99.9% of people, were going to do whatever the fuck they were going to do anyway.
Sure.
They don't care what you say. Yeah. Like, your advice is cool, but nobody actually follows people's advice. It's like so rare.
Yeah, because it's rare the people that succeed. It's rare the people that...
It's almost like they were going to do it anyway.
Get what they want in life. It's rare. Yeah. It's only about 10 to 12% of people, if anything, will get what they want.
I think that's natural, too. Like I think that's a natural order of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a law. There's a word for it. I forget what it's called. Is that it?
Pareto's law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
as soon as I learned, I let go.
Yeah.
I learned it. Yeah.
Because there's just going to be people who excel to the top of every field, people who have all the resources, people who it's always going to happen in every system you ever create. Yep. There's no way escape from it.
Even if these fucking hippies get the world that they want.
Then the best hippies will have the world.
Then then 20% of those best hippies will have 80% of the resources. Yep. And now we're going to have to do this again.
They'll be like, you have all the weed.
Yeah, which is why free market capitalism. No, I'm just there's no other system that I can think.
I think Ayn Rand had a point. I think the problem with free market capitalism is like we just have a system with like the checks and balances on it are like the opposite of checks and balances. Like really all the rules are meant to be broken. Yes. Like there's no good
No.
The way that we run that system won't work.
There's no morality in business.
Yeah.
There's no morality.
You could have a great system where everybody wins and we all kind of have the freedom for that pursuit of happiness. I think that's the idea of America.
Yeah.
That's why capitalism runs with it. But then you just have this version that we have that is so, like, it's just so, I mean, Bernie Sanders, 2016 was saying that it's these people who have all the money. It was like 99% of the people have this much money. It's only gotten worse since he said that. And that only gets worse and worse. It just ends in nobody having any money. There's, again, that story has an end too. That story ends at some point.
Yes.
You can't just have that keep going like that. And the truth is, it becomes this demonized thing where, we hate capitalism. We want the opposite of that. But really, capitalism was what gives you the opportunity to follow your dreams. It's the only reason you can do that.
They don't know that.
You need,
don't.
That is the beautiful thing about where you are, is you can actually just choose to do something and then do it. That's crazy.
I'm like, I want to do comedy now. And I'm like, I got to get good at this. I got to work at this. And surprisingly, not half bad.
Yeah, but it took time, though.
It took a thing. And now I'm doing things I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And there was sacrifice. It took hard work. I don't remember anyone else in my class. Maybe a few people. The few people that still have done it, they're doing good. Patience, perseverance, and then have a thing, bro. Like, at the end of the day, it's not worth your time to be on this experience we call life and not, like, I don't know, have a pull in a direction for a thing that satisfies you, gives you joy, and develops you as a person. If you're just stagnant, if I meet my friends from high school and they still act like my friends from high school, I don't talk to them no more. You know what I mean? I'm like, we're here to just develop, evolve, make mistakes, break things, hurt people, be hurt, It's life, it's love, it sucks, but it's awesome. I gotta go.
Well, hey, man, at the very end here, what we gotta do is, one, tell them where they can find you and all that stuff. So they listened to you this long. They heard our smart words. They got to know where to find more, to get more of this.
You're not going to find any of this on my Instagram. I can fucking shit you not. I'm Tito's Tales on Instagram, but good luck finding anything smart there.
You think we were smart today?
We were well informed about shit.
I think, sometimes I really think I'll be an idiot, and then I'll talk to people and I'll remember how much I remember. I'll be like, damn, I actually do know some stuff.
I blow people's minds all the fucking time.
You taught me some things today. I think we are smart. And the last thing I want to do, since we're smart guys, is you got to give them a message for the kids, something to send them home with, something they just watched this, they're about to head to school, they need to have a piece of knowledge to take with them, and you're the guy to give it to them. So boom, the floor is yours.
Kids?
Yeah, specifically the children watching you.
I don't know. Do crime before you're 18.
Yeah, because that's the best time.
Yeah.
At that point, the punishment is going to be way lesser than by the time. Once you're 18, what's the point anymore?
No, you don't want to do that. But, commit petty crimes. Go steal a thing. You want it? Go take it.
While you have the chance. Live while you can.
Live,
kids.
Laugh, share with your friends.
Live, laugh, steal.
Live, laugh, steal.
And with that being said, folks, Radio clocking out.
Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a balance in the character that's calm and collect. It's apparent his caricature is lost in the mess. It's hysterical, the picture that they put to his face. It's a confidence administered to earn their respect. Live a little, light a candle.